top 10 most overrated ultimate attacks, in my opinion, in Dragon Ball Xenoverse 2. Hello everyone, and thank you ever so much for clicking on this video. But before we do actually jump into this video properly, do me a favor. About 50% of you guys watching this are not subscribed, so please do go and subscribe, please and thank you. I know every YouTuber says this, but it does actually help the channel out more than you possibly imagine, hence why we all say it. And you know, it's free to do. You can always unsubscribe later on, and it only takes a second to actually subscribe. With that said, thank you ever so much, and let's start this. Number 10, Final Kamehameha. I'm starting off this list with, funnily enough, one of my favorite skills in the entirety of the Dragon Ball franchise, the Final Kamehameha, the fusion attack of Vegeta that fuses Final Flash and the Super Kamehameha together to create just an incredibly awesome looking skill. But with that said, this was added in Xenoverse 2 at the very start, or rather in the base game. So coming straight off of Xenoverse 1, the original Dragon Ball Xenoverse game, this was available almost instantly, right? So with that said, I remember everyone, myself included, ran this because of just what it was. It was actually even in a trailer at the very end of the trailer, you know, when Xenoverse 2 was being promoted and all that good stuff. But you kind of see this being ran online on custom characters, cacks, what you want to call them, kind of randomly, even if they are not a key-based character, because, well, it's Final Kamehameha. It's a cool looking attack, and that's why I think it's overrated, because everyone uses it, even if they don't necessarily have the correct build. With that said though, do keep in mind that this can easily, with the correct build, Super Soul, Limit Burst, QQ Bang, Awoken Skill, all that good stuff, this is easily a one-hit KO attack. Number 9, the times for KAIOKEN Kamehameha. There are so many better ultimate attacks in the game than this. For this one, I think, I consider this to be a little bit overrated, just because, well, you can get this fairly early on in the game, but for this to do any sort of significant damage on your opponent, you're going to have to use, is it 1 or 2 additional bars of ki to burst it into the ×4 part. If it's 1 or 2 bars of ki and you know, please do remind us in the comments, and leave a comment anyway, for the algorithm. So again, I feel like this is only used when people want to, I wouldn't necessarily say show off, but when they want to feel like they are part of the show, which that's fair enough. But you can use this to kind of make Super Saiyan Blue KAIOKEN, Super Saiyan Blue Evolution KAIOKEN, potential unlock KAIOKEN, just anything that can be combined with an Awoken skill, excluding Turn Giant and Purification, and soon, I'll probably do a video using this, Super Saiyan God KAIOKEN. Oh, and if you do prolong it, and it doesn't defeat your opponent, you're probably going to be in a bit of trouble because of the recovery animation. That's going to set you up for a very easy, heavy stamina break. Number 8, Emperor's Death Beam. Okay, now, I wasn't entirely sure if I wanted to include this specific skill on this list. Is it overrated? Maybe. I mean, that's why it's so high up on this list. But you have to keep one thing in mind. As of Legendary Pack 1, and if you use the strongest possible build for this skill, Emperor's Death Beam, is, again, as of Legendary Pack 1, this is the second strongest key-based ultimate in the entire game. Only second to Final Explosion, which is just insanely... okay. So because of that, I can't really blame people, a lot of people, myself included, using this skill. It is, I believe, at least fairly easy and quick to unlock. Again, if I remember, I believe you can get this, at least one way to get this. Again, I think you can get this fairly early on from the TP Medal store. With max key and even like a slightly decent key-based build. If this lands fully on your opponent, it might just win you the battle. So again, because of that, is it overrated? Yes, maybe, just because of the sheer amount of people who actually run this. But again, I can't blame them in the slightest. Number 7, Brave Sword Attack. Now, this is one of, maybe even the most cinematic looking ultimate attack in Xenoverse 2, but I do think that may change for DBS Super or Dragon Ball Super, Gogeta's, what is it? Resonance Explosion or Meteor Explosion being added in Legendary Pack 2. But as of right now, Legendary Pack 1, this is one of, again, possibly even the most cinematic looking skills in the game. You've got a nice camera angle, it goes right to your opponent and you slice them right in the middle, it forces them to block. There's a nice camera angle just before the sword impact. But I think that's the reason people use it. It's not a bad attack by any stretch of the imagination at all. But I just think people use it because it's kind of disrespectful, and that's fine. But there's just many other better, in my opinion at least, better and faster strike-based ultimates in the game. For example, Spirit Sword possibly, as well as Justice Combination. Number 6, God Punisher. This skill feels like it goes on forever, much like the Doria launcher. And if you guys want to go and count how many Ki Blasts are fired in both and or just one of either God Punisher and or, again, the Doria launcher Ultima, feel free to count and let us know. Again, do let us know in the comments of this video. And don't forget to subscribe and leave a like. Thank you ever so much. Now, this skill was used by Super Saiyan Blue Gogeta against Full Power Super Saiyan Broly from the Dragon Ball Super Broly movie. It's not a bad skill, don't get me wrong, but I don't really see this being used anymore. Maybe a year or so after DLC 8, the update that added this skill. About a year or so after that update, this skill kind of like really dropped off because, yes, it looks really, really cool, don't get me wrong, but no one, for the most part, no one tends to use it. Even when you pick, what is it, preset 1 of Super Saiyan Blue Gogeta, you've got the Kamehameha, the Super Kamehameha, which can be absorbed. It's faster, it takes less ki, and again, absorbing it gives you a fairly decent damage increase. Granted, a temporary one. I feel like this is only used really if you know you can defeat your opponent with it, because of how long the attack is, you probably will be able to get a stamina reset done, or all your stamina before the final attack hits, so you can go for an evasive or what have you. It's a fun skill, it looks cool, but it's overrated in my opinion, just because of how kind of lackluster it is for the most part in terms of damage. Number 5, Soul Punisher. Oh, Gogeta, I do sincerely apologize. Yes, we've just had God Punisher, and now it's the original Ultima for Gogeta, Super Gogeta, that being Soul Punisher. Also, kind of, if you include the combo, the Stardust Breaker. Now, it's a very powerful skill, don't get me wrong. I forget how strong this is, but I think it may be in the top 5 strongest key ultimates in the game, especially with a Limit Burst, Super Soul, Super Saiyan Blue Evolution, etc. But I feel like this is only used when it's going to defeat your opponent, at least online, as in, you'll go for like a heavy stamina break when your opponent has low health, you wait for them to gallop, then you'll go for Soul Punisher like right in front of them to then end the game. It's a cool looking attack because of that. It's very disrespectful. It's like, oh, are you Janemba? Well, I do apologize. But it's like, if it misses, you kind of look a bit like, oh, that was it worth it? Was it worth it? So because of that, I think that if you land it and it defeats your opponent, it's like, yeah, cool, awesome. But if it doesn't defeat your opponent, either by not doing enough damage, it missing, or what have you, it's like, great. How overrated. Number 4, Destructive Fission, also known as the Hakai. Now, at least in my opinion, this suffers from the same thing that the previous 2 entries, Soul Punisher and God Punisher, suffers from, as in, you're probably just going to use this when you know for a fact that this is going to defeat your opponent. Now, yes, it does go through, I believe, every skill, whatever key-based skill in the game as a Legendary Pack 1, or rather, as of this upload, with I think the only exception being the Divine Kamehameha super attack, but that may change in Legendary Pack 2 or onwards. We'll have to wait and see. If you use it, you're going to probably just want to use it to defeat your opponent and to try and defeat them in style. If you do use it and you mark halfway across the stage, it will slowly, and I can't stress that enough, it will slowly, and for a pretty long time as well, track whoever you are locked onto. But it will just explode if it doesn't connect to anything within a certain amount of time. I think it's maybe 20 or 25 seconds. I can't remember off the top of my head. Possibly even 30 seconds. Again, can't remember as of right now off the top of my head. But because of that, and because it does go through every skill, you're probably just going to use this when you know it's going to defeat your opponent. Again, as in, if they, as in you go for a stamina break and they can't go for a limit burst or use an evasive to protect themselves or anything like that. It's a fun skill. It's one of my favorite skills as well in Xenoverse 2 as of this upload. But it's kind of situational in the sense of, yeah, you're going to use it when you know it's going to defeat your opponent. And if it doesn't defeat them, it's just, great. Where's Super Kamehameha? That's better. Number 3, Dragon Fist. You launch a dragon made of ki, even though it's a strike-based ultimate. You launch a dragon from your hand. Do I need to say anything more than that? Number 2, Godly Display. Be completely honest, this wasn't a surprise. Do you want the power of Ultra Instinct to try and defeat your opponent by literally throwing a neutron star at them? How over the top can you get? Then this is the perfect skill for you. Do you want to finalize the regards? Then this is the perfect skill for you. Does a decent amount of damage. It actually is one of the strongest, again, one of the strongest strike-based ultimates in the game as of right now. If you can land it, it'll do the job, but given how long it takes, and if you guys watch my trash talk videos, the amount of times that I fail using Godly Display, either by them getting their stamina recharge to then go for an evasive or limit burst or what have you, or it just missing because of the initial, hits just dropping because of lag or just like what have you. Taking all that into consideration, it's a cool attack if you can properly and thoroughly land it. But if you don't, it's like, oh, well, dude, you just used the power of Ultra Instinct to try to throw a neutron star at me. You failed at it. Now what? And number 1, the Time Skip Molotov. This isn't even in the top 10 strongest strike-based ultimates in the game. At least not if you use a strike-based Sane that's specialized in, strike skills. A level 99 strike-based Sane. Now, granted, if you use the correct Super Soul and Limit Burst and just like the proper setup and all that for the skill, it will more than likely one-shot your opponent. Here's the issue, though. Well, it's not really an issue, but for this to properly land, again, for the most part, not exclusively, but for the most part, for this specific skill to land, your opponent needs to stand pretty much still, as in, you hit them with a heavy stamina break and for them not to limit burst or what have you. You can use it in other situations, but for the most part, to like a sort of, I guess, safe bet, that's how you're going to probably want to use this specific skill. And you only see this for the most part being ran by, there's no other way to put it, by male earthlings in ranked that play it 24/7. I'm sorry if that offends anyone, but that's all you see it because it's like, oh yeah, I'm going to click square triangle repeatedly over and over and over and over and over again. And then when you've got no stamina left because they go for infinite, heavy stamina break, they'll go to the floor, troll spin or what have you, then they'll hit you with the Molotov, the time skip Molotov. Yeah, it's a good attack. It's not the best. It's certainly not the worst, but it's probably, well, not probably, in my opinion, as of right now, this is the most overrated attack in Dragon Ball Xenoverse 2. And those were the top 10 most overrated ultimate attacks, in my opinion, in Dragon Ball Xenoverse 2. Do you agree or disagree with me? Do let me know in the comments, and I'll see you next time.